Hey everyone, appreciate you tuning into this episode of The Wolf's Den. Today I want to go over some things regarding pricing in your business and making sure that you don't get bullied when you do price certain things, bullied by clients, I should say, when you do price certain things for the job, for the quote that was presented. So when it comes to pricing quotes in a business, it really comes down to knowing your numbers is the first thing and being able to incorporate the appropriate dollars into a job to recover costs, pay for overhead, pay for the employee's labor, pay for materials, pay for fuel that probably is worked into your overhead, as well as to generate a profit. So, with all those factors worked into your price, you need to be able to bid a job accurately. Obviously, there's a difference between greed and being accurately, but we're in the business of making money. And I don't know, obviously, besides nonprofit organizations, I don't know why people go into business just to break even or lose money. I know for myself as a entrepreneur that the goal is to create financial freedom through providing services to our community by and also by knowing your numbers and being able to properly bid jobs appropriately. You need to make money at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. So the real point of this episode is just to hit on why, or if a client were to say, oh, that's a little bit too much for me, what can you do with the price? So this is something that I used to do. I used to say, oh, just because you asked, I could take $100 off, $500 off, whatever it really ends up being, or whatever I ended up used to say. But with that, being able to know the value and the worth that you are providing and bringing to the table for the service, you're just stealing from yourself at the end of the day if you start to devalue your service. So yes, clients are always looking for a deal, and I sort of hit on this earlier. There's a difference between ripping someone off and actually providing a valuable service for what you need to charge in your business. Every single business's pricing is different. Every single company overhead is different. Every single company wants to make different amount of money, especially in the blue collar green industry, hardscape construction industry, however you want to look at it. So being able to know your value and the worth that you are quoting, once you start to change the price or drop the price without changing the scope of work, you are devaluing your service, and you are stealing directly from your company. You're stealing directly from yourself, your family, and you're not being able to be confident in the number that you did present. Obviously, I get there's circumstances such as if you have a promotion running, if you have a discount out, those are intentional, and those are stuff that you can plan for prior to the pricing. But when clients do ask, what can you do with the price? Can you drop it $1,000, $500, whatever really ends up being, depending on the price point that you are at. Not every client is your ideal client. Not every client you have to do business with. Being able to understand who your ideal client is starting at the marketing level, being able to target a certain demographic, a certain home value, a certain property size, a certain income level, certain radius of service area. Being able to target your specific client, that's really where it starts at. Not saying that every single client in that demographic that you start to market to is your ideal client, but you're at least narrowing down the scope of you're sort of weeding people out from the beginning, which is great. So it's okay to say no to people. It's okay to tell clients that no, this is my number. This is what I need to charge, and being able to stand behind that. And you may think that if you were to not drop your price, you may be losing out on a job, which 100% that could be true. But at the same point, if you stand behind your your worth, if you stand behind the dollar value that you originally presented to the client may have more respect for you, to be honest with you. Because I know myself, uh, I mean, I hate to say this, but it is true. When I go out, especially depending on place to place, I always say, "Oh, what can you do for me?" Um, and you never know if you don't ask. I completely I live by that motto. It doesn't always have to be about pricing. It could be about anything. But if you never ask, you will never receive. It doesn't always have to be about pricing in a business. It could be about anything. So I get where clients do come from at times, but being able to stand your ground firmly, that really makes the world of a difference between being able to not not steal from your company at the end of the day. And it's gonna be tough. It's gonna take time. It's going to be difficult to say no to clients. That no, my pricing is not going to change. But at the end of the day, it's a very important no that you do have to say. And being able to get to know your ideal client. Your ideal client is someone that should value and respect you for the work that you are providing. They called you for a reason. They called you to give you money or to give you the opportunity to perform a service. And they're obviously reaching out to you for a reason. And it all comes back to the expectations on certain jobs and being able to clearly define those expectations and what certain price points are before you get to the quoting phase. Yes, it is important to share that information ever since the get-go instead of just jumping around and sort of dodging the money conversation. Is very important to talk budget and talk price points and talk material pricing or anticipated costs for a job. So it all starts in that initial conversation, being able to fully inform the client about what this stuff costs before you even get to that point where they have a price in front of them, they're taken back, and it ends up being then they end up asking about what can you do for me with taking dollars out of the quote. And recently, I think in the past year or two, I started to say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or whatever your last name is, we'd be happy to reduce the price. We want to be able to work with you. We want to be able to provide the service for you. The only thing is, in order for us to reduce the price of the project, we would just have to reduce the scope of work. So you let me know if you want to change materials. You let me know if you want to change the overall size of the project, the quantity of certain materials, and the type of certain materials. And I'd be happy to rework the numbers for you and see what that comes out to be to get you to the anticipated price point. So that's the type of stuff that I started to say. And even though that they may not be getting the entire package of the job, you're at least going to be changing the scope of work, so you're not going to be stealing from yourself and for the company and taking hundreds, thousands of dollars out of your pocket. It could be, at the end of the year, it could be tens of thousands of dollars that you could be taking out of your pocket or the company's pocket if you start to say, yeah, we'll just take $500 off, $500 off, $500 off. It's going to add up over time. And if you don't work that into your budget, or if you don't properly plan in the quoting process to account for that, then you're just going to be shooting yourself in the foot at the end of the day. And also another thing that I did notice is if a client starts to ask and then you say yes to drop in the price without reducing the scope of work, it's just going to open up a can of worms. So once you get onto the job, they're just going to say, oh, can you do this? Oh, can you do that? Which I have personally experienced before. And not saying every single client is this way by any means, but I have experienced certain scenarios where they start to ask for a price reduction without changing the scope of work. And then once you get on the job, they already have an upper hand because they technically won that battle. They are taking control of the situation as the contractor, as the person providing the service, as the person that they are going to for information, for knowledge, and for work to be done, you need to be in control of the scope of work, the pricing, the tempo of everything, and how everything flows in the business, start to finish throughout your workflow process. Excuse me. So being able to by being able to say no, you're starting to take control of the situation. And if you were to give in and say yes, they feel as though they already have a one up on you, and it's going to slowly start to go downhill, job to job. It could always vary. If you start to say yes, I will reduce my price, and then it starts to, once you get on the job, things could start to unfold. You got this far with the client with getting on the property and being able to say, yes, I would drop my price. So in the grand scheme of things, what I'm really trying to get to with having this episode is being able to, one, know the value, know the worth of the service that you are providing, know the numbers that you are providing are accurate to what you need to charge to stay in business, to be profitable, to be able to continue to invest into your business, being able to provide for your family, being able to pay your employees, being able to pay your insurance and your rent. It all goes back to the pricing aspect and being able to know who your ideal client is. And it's okay to say no to clients. It is okay to deny work. It's okay to be able to tell clients that you are not a good fit for them. Because at the end of the day, it is your business. You are the one to set the tempo. You're the one to set the pace of how the job goes and what you need to charge at the end of the day to continue to be in business. And if a client were, if the price were to come back over the client's budget, or what they're wanting to spend or anticipating to spend, changing the scope of work would greatly help to get to that middle point. So you're not losing money at the end of the day. The client is gaining something for being able to reduce the price and still provide a quality service, as well as you are still closing a deal by reducing the price, but you're also changing the scope of work, so it's not affecting the bottom line at the end of the day. And being able to be confident and control the pricing, being able to control the tempo of the workflow, it's something that is very important. And you don't have to be a yes man to your clients at the end of the day. You need to be able to be a yes man to yourself and know the value and bring respect back to the trades, to the blue collar industry, and being able to really bring respect back to why you started this business in the first place. So hopefully this has helped you. It's still something that no matter what stage in business that you are, you're always going to be hearing this type of stuff with clients. Not every client is going to be saying this, but it does happen. And being able to take these steps and actually implement them has helped me in my business, and being able to have that mindset to be able to grow the business and not take away money from the bottom line of the business, or for myself, or for the employees. So appreciate you listening to this, taking the time, and let me know what you guys think. Thank you.